Hey, I hope you're having a great day today. My name is Ben, and I'm an amateur Blender artist. Usually I just post my silly little animations, but today I wanted to try and create a different kind of video. This is sort of a brief overview of how I made this character, starting with this initial sketch, and then moving all the way over to this fully modeled and rigged and textured version, which I'm just demonstrating now here. So this isn't a full tutorial, it's more of a sort of overview, so to speak. It's a sort of sped up, almost like a speed paint, but it's not really a speed paint, is it? It's in 3D. But it's just a quick little overview of the workflow that I use. And if people are interested in that, or interested in doing sort of more in-depth, detailed tutorials, this is sort of a tester for that. And if people like it, then maybe I might do something a little bit more in detail. So, to start off, we start obviously with modeling. Usually I use the sketch I've made as a bit of a blueprint. As you can see here, I'm sort of just making individual simple shapes using the subdivided cube, which means that I'm using sort of less control points, but getting a sort of more organic shape. I've only got one level of subdivision, so it's very sort of blocky, very low poly, and I'm just going through and separating it out into individual sections. Obviously, as you can see, sometimes I don't get it right the first try, and then I have to try again. Usually I focus on the sort of front look first to make sure it looks alright when you're looking at it from the front, and then I'll look at the side and try and maybe clean up the angles or the thicknesses, so you know it sort of makes sense from that angle. I'm sort of using the mirror modifier for the trousers there, so it's all sort of even, and I'm moving the sketch around a lot to help me use the right part of it in the right place, because I didn't draw a perfectly symmetrical sketch. It's all sort of a generic rough reference point, less of a blueprint and more of a rough idea, a suggestion, I think. This bit's a bit embarrassing. It took me far too many tries to make a pair of shoes that I liked. But maybe this is just a little learning lesson for people. Things take time, especially when you don't know what the hell a shoe looks like, which clearly I don't. I'd drawn these very cartoony looking blocky shoes, and I was sort of, sometimes when you're taking something from 2D to 3D, it doesn't stick first time, and you need to sort of explore more of how that might look when it's given a third dimension. But we're going to sort of skip ahead here a little bit after I've had a lot of trial and error, to the point where I had a bit more of a model. So this is more of the rigging section. Again, obviously I'm skipping over parts, but this is sort of just an overview of the process. So here's where I had already gotten a shoe that I kind of liked a bit more, where I'm sort of adjusting the weights. I've created a skeleton, what's called an armature, underneath, which is those stick parts. And I've applied sort of an automatic control to them, so each of the parts, like the shoes, has a sort of rough control to them, where if I move the bone, it'll move with them. But I'm now going back and sort of cleaning that up and making that more specific, so that it bends and warps in the way that I like. I'm using the gradient tool mostly for that, so if you see the colors there, the red means there's a high level of influence, and the blue means there's very little, but probably go into that more detail later on. I'm using sort of a natural pose here, or trying to pose it just a little bit, just to see how it looks if it poses, making sure that everything has been rigged correctly, and I've made it clear to myself that I've been really stupid and forgotten to rig the other foot. At this point I'm also sort of exploring different color palettes, because if you've seen any of my other videos, I don't know what a color palette is. I've never even met her, and I'm just sort of playing around with what might look good or might look bad. I'm not really sure at this point. This one specifically, I ended up kind of copying the colors from an old post I made, with a different sort of retro version of the same character that I've made here. So if you're curious, then go and have a look at that. So finally I get onto the texture painting stage. So after I've rigged, I changed these basic materials I was using to sort of just test out the colors into fully sort of custom UV unwrapped ones, which sounds more complicated than it is. I'm basically just drawing on the bits that I like onto the previously just blank colors. I'm keeping the texture simple. All it is just some basic drawn on patterns on the top, and the shader itself is just a default BSDF node with an additional sort of just added emission to make it a little bit lighter and more cartoony. And don't worry if none of this makes sense to you if you're sort of a beginner. Just let me know if you'd be interested in more sort of detailed stuff, and I'd love to talk about that sort of thing. I can nerd out about this stuff for hours. So right now I've added 2 different materials to the goggles, sort of a glowing one and a basic one, and then those little sort of eyelids to the goggles, the lenses perhaps, those have been shape keyed, which is another kind of deformation or rigging, I suppose you could call it, so that they can move and warp in a certain way. That's the same thing I did for the face. If you saw in the beginning of the video, the sort of face control demo, except a little bit more advanced. And you can see here, this is my embarrassing weight painting of the other foot because I forgot to do that earlier. So, lesson for you, don't be silly, don't be like me. Do all of your weight painting at the same time. I'm also applying different materials, different parts here, just to break it up and make it look a little bit more interesting. And then at the very end here, I've been adding the texture to the shoes. This whole character has been pretty sort of simple textures, nothing too complicated, very sort of light on the visual front, but I wanted to add a little symbol to the shoe to break it up a little bit, a little logo or something. You can see I'm just experimenting with the different patterns here. So yeah, sort of wrapping up, that was just sort of a little proof of concept or practice, I suppose, of recording my work, speeding it up, adding some commentary. I've never done anything like this before for the channel, so it's kind of just a little test. I might try some longer tutorials if people are interested. I'm not an expert by any means, but I have done this for a little while, and I do enjoy doing what I do and talking about it. So if people are interested in that, just let me know. And if I do end up doing some tutorials, or if I keep doing the regular animations I have been, then if you're interested in that sort of thing, then let me know by sticking around and subscribing. I know it's terrible, I shouldn't shill, I hate it when channels shill, but there you go, that's my one for today, I only get one. And yeah, if you'd like to see me do a sort of more in-depth tutorial on another character, then maybe try suggesting some in the comments. I really like hearing people's different ideas, and that'd be really cool. Yeah, I've run out of things to say, but I've still got some more film to run, so I've kind of got to just keep talking here for a second. How's your day been? How are you doing? I've been doing alright today. It's been good, but this has been fun. This made my day better. So, I hope it helped your day. If you've been curious about this sort of thing, if it makes you excited to do more Blender. Thanks for watching. It's been really great.